So it's the first day of May. I hope everybody's super excited. My name is Zhvanetskiy. This is your Toronto Condos, and I'm going to be talking about what I saw in April 2025. Now, in this video, I'm not going to be sharing graphs, charts, or data. What I'm going to talk about is actually what I saw personally as an active practicing real estate agent in Toronto. I'm going to talk about what I've seen for freehold sales. I'm going to talk about what I've seen for condominium resale. I'm going to talk about rentals and landlords and just kind of where April 2025 has been and where I see the market moving forward. I'm also going to talk a little bit about different strategies that I think people in all four of those categories can utilize to make sure that they're making the most of this market. So let's talk about freehold properties and freehold sales and what I've seen happening in April. Now, March was a pretty slow month. I didn't see too many transactions. There was just like a lot of uncertainty in the market. We had a federal election that was going to be coming up. I think that in the beginning of March, we just got a new federal leader that was only going to be temporarily there. These tariffs were coming from the US. The US was basically just starting a trade war globally, and just there was like a lot of uncertainty. People weren't moving, weren't really comfortable. I think that in April people did get a lot more comfortable, and I think that probably in May people are going to get even more comfortable because at least half of that, the federal election, is now behind us. We know who our prime minister is, and I'm not going to talk about what party you support or who I voted for, but at least that's over with, and now we can continue to move forward. I saw transactions happening in April, but buyers are being incredibly selective. So what happened this spring is a lot of sellers were really excited for the spring. There were reduced lending guidelines, interest rates were going down as well, so people were looking to sell their properties and list their properties. And after March break, I saw a lot of properties hitting the market, all basically consistently. Like that week after March break, I saw lots of new inventory in the freehold sector. But the challenge was that all these people listed, but the uncertainty created by the trade challenges with the US was already there. So buyers in March, they were just not showing up. And now in April, we still have that surplus of inventory, but buyers did start to show up, but not seasonally. I think that, first of all, some buyers that are scaling up to freehold properties are finding it challenging to do that because they can't offload their condos. And I'm going to talk about the condo market in a minute here. But for freehold, transactions are happening. Buyers, I see, don't want to do renovations. So if you're looking to sell like an unrenovated property, be ready to pay for that renovation in the purchase price, and also be ready to pay for the buyer's inconvenience of having to project manage that renovation. So you have to really be priced aggressively for that. But overall, like, work with your agents, see what's going on in the market, because I see properties that are selling, and ultimately it does come down to price. So it's the properties that are priced properly in this market, they're the ones that are selling. And then I'm seeing a totally different category where it seems like some sellers have like the 2022 price in mind, and their property is just sitting, and they're just like thinking that, oh, let's just wait, and eventually the market's going to turn around or the buyer's going to show up. Well, I don't think anybody wants to have their property being for sale for months and months and potentially years. So if you're actually serious about selling, talk to your agent, engage a realtor early on, talk about a marketing strategy. How are you going to bring that property to market? What can you expect? What is the market price? What is the listing and price strategy? Because the listed price is only a marketing tool. Remember that. That's very important. And just be ready to pivot in the market. So be ready to kind of try different strategies, move around with your price. It's not about just like, getting photos taken, listing on the MLS, slapping on a price tag, and waiting for people to come, because these people have lots of choices, and ultimately they don't really need to buy any specific property. Like they probably do, but they have lots of different choices and lots of properties to choose from. So for freehold, it's selling. Make sure you're priced properly. Make sure that the property is marketed properly, ideally move-in ready if it's possible for you to do so, or be prepared to price accordingly based on the condition of your property and how it measures up. Don't get like into this mindset, which I see some sellers fall into, where they falsely believe that their property is superior to others because of some factors that other people don't even value. Okay, just be realistic, and this is where engaging with a realtor who's going to actually break it down for you and explain this for you and give you an objective opinion about this is key, as opposed to somebody who's going to just like do whatever you want them to do, list the property, and just sit there hoping that one day you're going to wake up and realize that you're overpriced and that's where the property's not moving. Now, let's move into condos. So like I said, briefly, condos are really not moving. But it's specifically one category that's the most slow right now. And it's been slow for about a year now. It's the one bedroom smaller units, a lot of them without parking. A lot of them are maybe like in the 400 square foot range or like the 500 square foot range. This is the inventory that's not moving. Condos, there's lots of assignment inventory. Assignments are not tracked on the MLS, so we don't even know what they sell for. And frankly, I believe only about 10 to 15% of assignments are selling in today's market. There is the new condos that are in interim occupancy, and sellers are trying to rent them out and get tenants for them with the goal of maybe, the rental market appreciating or being able to sell that property in about a year. And then there's like resale, which is the most attractive part of the condo market right now. I'm seeing units that are selling in the $800 a square foot range in resale in good locations such as North York, Yonge and Sheppard, locations such as Midtown Toronto, locations such as the downtown core, Etobicoke. Ultimately, if you're a condo buyer, you have lots of options and lots of choices, but the opportunities are made by the buyer, okay? So the opportunities don't just come through as a listing from your agent. You create those opportunities yourself as a condo buyer by being out there, putting in offers, and seeing who is motivated. And when you're selecting a condo, it's important for you to make sure that you're selecting a marketable condo and not just go into it based on price. For many people, the condo that they buy today is not going to be their forever home. They're going to be looking to sell it potentially and upgrade in 5 years. So make sure you're buying something that's going to be easier for you to sell. Don't just buy an investor-focused small one-bedroom condo because that's all you need today. Think about in the future. Even if you don't have a car, get a condo with parking. Get a condo that's over 550 square foot. Higher ceilings is a huge plus. Good view is a huge plus. Outdoor space is a huge plus. Make sure you're getting a condo in an A+ building. Make sure to have the status certificate reviewed by your lawyer. Make sure you're working with a realtor that understands the condo market, because you don't want to be in a situation where 5 years from now you can't sell your condo and you can't upgrade, and it's basically holding you back. This is a position where many buyers that are looking to buy freehold properties today are frankly finding themselves. So avoid that by working with somebody that understands the condo market. But this is where the best opportunities are. Like, I'm seeing units that sold in the high 500s selling in the high 400s. We're basically at 2019, 2020 prices, especially for the smaller units. The things that are like the condos that are like 2-3 bedroom, 1,000 square foot, those are moving. And the reason for that is most of the people that are selling those are not investors. Like, this is families. Families can live in a unit like that, and families have lived in a unit like that. So it's moving. There, a lot of times the people that are selling them have owned them for a significant period of time. They have more equity built up. They're not in a crunch where they have to sell for a certain number, or it just doesn't mathematically make sense for them. So this segment of the market is moving well. The smaller units are unfortunately not moving well. Pre-construction, I'm not even going to deeply get into today. Pre-construction in Toronto just doesn't really make sense. With the higher building costs, pre-construction units selling at $1,500-$1,600 a square foot, doesn't make sense when you can get a 2-year-old condo or a 1-year-old condo at like $900 a square foot. Really doesn't make sense. So I wouldn't even focus on pre-construction. Let's see what the government does to make pre-construction more affordable. They talked about eliminating some taxes with that. Let's see if that actually is enough to revive the market. And now let's shift over to rentals. So I'm going to talk about the landlord's perspective. Landlords, tenants have a lot of options right now. The tenant perspective. Tenants, you have a lot of options right now. So what I'm getting at is, landlords, if your tenant gives you notice because they're looking to move out of that unit, have a conversation with that tenant. Maybe you can offer them a bit of a discount to hold them, because it's getting more challenging to find good tenants these days. It's not that they're not out there and that they're not actively looking, but this is not 2022 where the market was going crazy. People were moving back into the GTA on the tailwind of COVID. They were putting in offers on units they haven't seen, a lot of times offering 6 months or a year up front just to get the unit and win out the bidding war. This is not the market we're in right now. It's very balanced. In fact, rents have come down. And tenants that maybe, if you rented your unit in 2022, maybe you want to go to the market and see what is available today for you, because you may be able to save significant money, maybe a couple of $100s even. So it doesn't hurt to take a look. Now keep in mind that you need to give 60 days notice if you're going to be vacating that unit. And it has to be 60 days notice before your monthly rental payment comes out. So if you pay rent on May 1st, you have to give notice before May 1st in order for you to be able to then get out of that unit the last day of July. If you give rent on May 2nd, well, the 2 months actually starts from June 1st. That's the way that it works. So anyways, this has been a bit of an overview about the market. Again, like I said in the beginning, I'm not sharing any stats here. This is just what I'm seeing as a practicing real estate agent who's doing this full-time in Toronto in all these different categories, actively working with buyers, sellers, renters, and landlords. And this is just kind of like what I'm experiencing from the ground floor. So hope you found this video to be interesting. Name again is Zhvanetskiy. I'm a Toronto Realtor, REMAX Condos Plus. If you could like, share, and subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate that. And I'll see you next time on your Toronto Condos.